interferences from safety cars to devastating crashes that changed the course of the race. These are the most chaotic races in F1 history. Formula One racing is an incredibly fast-paced sport. It's even more exhilarating for fans to watch when the races get chaotic. What do we mean by this? Well, lots of things could happen during the race that would leave fans guessing who would come out on top. Cars could crash or break down on the track. Weather or other external conditions could affect the race in small or huge ways. Racers could employ risky maneuvers to pull a win from a previously bad position, or just wipe out. Because of all this chaos, the fans are so engaged. They can see their favorite cars and racers fail miserably or pull through to achieve greatness. The possibilities are endless. Without further ado, let's get into the races. The first chaotic race on our list is the 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Throughout the event, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull were competing hard for the top spot. Mercedes Formula One boss Toto Wolff described it as a pulsating, wildly unpredictable event. At different points, tension seemed to be highest between Ferrari and Mercedes. It got to the point where an interesting fight broke out, but was impacted by the appearance of a safety car. It was Valtteri Bottas who took the fight to the red cars. Between Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, who both raced for Mercedes, Hamilton had the better qualifying lap. This put him near Sebastian Vettel at the start. After the first post-lap safety car, Vettel managed to pull away from Hamilton. Just as Hamilton was beginning to close the gap between them again, the wind overwhelmed the driver. He locked up and skidded, causing Vettel's lead to grow. Mercedes still had hope in Bottas, who was around 12 seconds behind Vettel. On lap 30, the Ferrari driver pitted. One factor that worked against the racers was that the track had become smoother than usual, forcing many to change their tires. At lap 37, Bottas was lapping quicker than Vettel, putting himself in contention for the win. Then the safety car came out. With the precautionary vehicle out limiting racers' speeds and keeping them off the track for debris, Bottas made a pit stop. Seeing very few options, Ferrari advised Vettel to get a fresh set of tires too. With both cars pitted, Bottas was able to take the lead out of the pits. It seemed like he would bring in the win for Mercedes, but his vehicle hit unforeseen debris and suffered a puncture as a result. Can you imagine having such a commanding lead and then going through that? With that ending the race for Bottas, it was Hamilton who secured the win for Mercedes, putting them ahead in the standings. Had Bottas managed to pull through and win for Mercedes, he would have been in the running for the title with Hamilton and Vettel. When asked about the race, Bottas admitted that he broke down and cried about the loss. In several of his previous races, he faced similar situations of almost winning, but being denied in the end. He expressed feeling so confident and in control moments before he hit the debris and suffered the devastating puncture. Although the loss was difficult for Bottas to accept, he would earn redemption a year later in the same Grand Prix. In 2019, Bottas won the Azerbaijan GP and said that it made up for his heartbreaking 2018 loss.
Another 1-2 for Mercedes-Benz, and it's victory for Bottas in Baku. Valtteri Bottas wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
And this goes to show you how chaotic the sport of Formula One racing can truly be. Next on our list is the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. Harsh weather and multiple crashes certainly make for a chaotic race. The 2011 Grand Prix is remembered as one of the most thrilling and unpredictable races in F1 history. This also sets the record for the longest race, as it lasted 4 hours and 4 minutes. Despite the extended time, it was not at all slow-paced. The Grand Prix event ended up being most eventful for Jenson Button. This race has been called one of his best. He had to pit on lap 9 following a crash with his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Other crashes occurred and safety cars had to come out since the race happened during torrential rains. At lap 25, the race was red flagged as the rain made the track hazardous. 2 hours later, when the race resumed, Button crashed again. This time, he crashed into Fernando Alonso and put him in last place. Good tire choices and determination allowed the British driver to hustle and make a comeback. By the 65th lap, he was in second place, keeping the pressure on Sebastian Vettel. With the two neck and neck, the race was incredibly tense. Finally, in a surprising turn of events, Vettel slipped up. This allowed Button to take the lead in the final lap of the race. It was an incredible surprise for the racer and the fans watching. You had to be there to see the incredible comeback.
Driving for his life, driving for the victory. Has Vettel got what it takes to hold him off.
I think Vettel's got Wade.
Yeah,
He's
look
got
at that.
Wade.
He turned in too late. He got the tyres. Button leaves the ground.
When asked about the first crash, Jenson Button said he didn't even realize what had happened. His initial assumption was that he had a puncture, but then he realized Hamilton was on his left and they had made contact. After that, they both went into the wall. During the stoppage of the race, he actually used his time to find Hamilton and apologize for the crash. Button then recalled hitting Alonso as they both tried to turn a corner while side by side. Both drivers didn't want to give up their spots and crashed when their wheels made contact. Even when he was closing the distance between himself and Vettel, Button admitted he wasn't sure he could win. Despite that, he remembered that his engineer, Dave Robson, kept pushing him on and saying he could win. The driver then recalled coming up with a game plan as he neared Vettel, and they were close to finishing the race. When a bad turn sent Vettel's car sideways, Button seized the opportunity he had been given. He took the lead with half a lap of the race left. Then he won. Button had an incredible display of luck and perseverance in the race. On the opposite end, Vettel held strong throughout the race until his one mistake at the very end. Things like this can shock and amaze everyone involved. We come to the third and final chaotic race in F1 history, the 2019 Austrian Grand Prix. In this event, Max Verstappen made an unbelievable comeback after an absolutely dismal start. Verstappen ended up dropping 5 positions from 2nd to 7th place. He had to make a comeback with 2 Ferraris and Bottas's Mercedes competing in the same race. It was no easy feat. To try and make up for lost ground, Verstappen pitted later than his competitors. He ended up pitting 10 laps later than they did and rejoined the race with 39 laps left. The most controversial and chaotic moment happened during the 69th lap. That meant there were only 2 laps remaining. Verstappen broke heavily inside turn 3 to try to overtake the Ferrari driver. Charles Leclerc tried to maneuver around it, but both racers ended up being wheel to wheel at the turn. This resulted in Leclerc being sent off the track and Verstappen taking the lead. The maneuver sparked controversy and debate over its legality and the outcome of the race, later coming under investigation. In the post-race press conference, Verstappen admitted that he thought the race was over at the beginning when he fell behind. He didn't have too much to say about the controversial move, only that those types of things happen in races. When asked a bit more about it, he responded, "If those things aren't allowed in racing, then what's the point of Formula One?" Verstappen, choosing to see it as something that just happens in racing, proved that anything can happen on the racetrack. It's these especially chaotic matches that get people talking about the sport for a long time. As we said, Formula One racing really comes alive during the chaos. With fast-paced races and fast cars, a lot of matches tend to be exciting and unpredictable. These were the most chaotic races in F1 history.